so heavy. Doesn't just bring much first close. Yes. Okay. Oops. Semendasya Yamandalashrikaya Chakshrimritam Jana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manupisam Savidanamutale Swayam Rupakaramayam Swavantikam Namam Vishnavara Krishavasa Uttale Srimate Bhaktivinoda Swaminityaname Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Pujayane Nivishesha Shunyavadi Prasajana Vishatarani Vanshakapati Vishakirvasin Vevacha Aditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome everybody to session number 3. Right? Yes. I'm getting already all mixed up. Session 3. So, what did we talk about yesterday without looking in your papers? Who remembers?
Secrets.
Yes, and which one is the first secret of success? Hang on, before the secrets, we had a few little details about what? Huh?
The challenges.
The
challenges.
Before then.
Duties of each role.
Yeah, we were introducing the whole thing of, entering the contract, the marriage contract. So, in very brief terms, what are the duties of the husband, of the wife, and we were talking a bit about marriage, the yajna, right? And a few other little things. What did we say? What's the most important ingredients we need to make a marriage work? Yes, but I mean something else. What do we need to have? Faith in Krishna, and it's still not what I mean, faith in Krishna is also very important. Commitment, right? Yes, we were talking a little bit about that, this commitment. Yes, this is Krishna's gift. This is what I deserve. Krishna's giving me what I deserve. There's no question of, oh sorry, I don't like it anymore. And I was sharing how in a culture of sense gratification, the promise, the word of honor, that's all lost. The main thing is my advantage, my enjoyment. If I like it, okay, fine, I stick with it. And if I don't like it anymore, sorry, I changed my mind. Things are different than I thought. And we break our promises. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's the initiation vows or the marriage vows, or, promise I will cook the Sunday feast. Sorry, something else came up. No. So in Vaishnava culture, once we say, we give our word, we make a promise, we have to stick to it. Even if it means we have to turn our whole life upside down. That should be the attitude of a Vaishnava. Once I said, I will do this, I will do it. even if things are very different than what I thought they would be. Life is full of unexpected surprises, you know, so we have to stick to our word of honor, our promise, our vows. And if this is not there, we will not be able to keep a marriage together. Because in the beginning we said it's all for purification, which means there will be challenges. All kinds of things from our hearts are coming to the surface. We have to do some internal work, and we will not do that if we don't have this commitment that yes, this is what Krishna is giving me for my own internal work. You know, it doesn't matter how compatible we are, there will be challenges. Every marriage, it's part of the whole purifying process. You know, yes. So, and only if we really have this understanding that I gave my word, I have to work this out, I have to make it work, you know, then we can overcome the challenges. But if this is not there, we will, you know, throw it in and leave and, oh, sorry, I married the wrong person, you know. So, yeah, this commitment is really one of the main and foremost things. Yes. And what else? Sure. There was just something on my mind which I wanted to say about old age, the memory. But maybe it will come later. Yes. So, and then we pretty much went to the first secret. So what was the first secret of success without looking in your papers? Huh? Shravanam Kirtanam, the watering process of the Bhakti Lata. You know, that has to be there. And we went through so many guidelines and recommendations how to practically live that principle. You know, it's always easy to say, yes, Krishna is in the center of our lives, but then he is actually not. You know, he is somewhere on the sideline there, you know, and we have other priorities. So, these secrets of success are very simple secrets, but yet to actually live accordingly is a challenge because we have to show where we really are, you know, and what is our main and foremost priority in life. You know. I was sharing, what's usually the first consideration for choosing your residency? What's usually the first one?
Neighbors.
Huh?
Neighbors.
No, usually it's not the first one, unfortunately. It should be. But what's the first one? Usually the job. Where do I make good money? And then comes climate and nice nature, right? And then at the very end comes, oh, where there is a temple. But actually it should be the other way around. You know, we should think, which community do I want to be an active part of, where I feel inspired to serve in cooperation of the devotees under senior guidance, where I get nourishment, where there's nice festivals, where there's swamis coming, you know? That should be the first consideration. So, and then comes the job and climate, nature comes at the end, you know? Yeah, but usually it's unfortunately not like that in people's lives. I've seen it so many times. People inherit some big house, you know, miles away. Oh yeah, I will live for free there. Oh well, what's the use if there's no Vaishnava association? You know? Yes. Yeah, people have the wrong priorities. You know? So, yeah, Shravanam Kirtanam with all its recommendations, and then what was the next one?
Association.
Huh? Devotee association. Yes, we were reading some powerful quotes. It's better to be surrounded by flames or behind bars in prison than being without devotee association from the Bhagavatam. Right? And what did we add to the devotee association, which is not on the list but super important? Mentorship. So, and we will see when we go through the list there. Please remind me, Prabhu. Sometimes I forget to go through the list. So we will see mentorship, having a counselor will fix any marriage problems. If we are willing to take guidance and if we are willing to work on ourselves rather than pointing the finger at the other person and blaming them for everything. That's usually what happens. People just blame the other person, oh, it's my husband, oh, it's my wife. And like that we don't get anywhere and we don't get the purification. Actually blaming others, we discussed that in the false ego seminar. Blaming others is what? You remember?
I was in the false ego.
You were not never in the false ego seminar. Well, in February we'll have it 12th, 13th, 14th. But not here in the Panchatantra extension. Yeah. Just to make it more sensual, so it's maybe more convenient for people. Yeah, so for in the false ego seminar we say this blaming others. This is the classic mechanism to protect the false ego. You know? I am right, it's all the other people. And that's what's always happening in marriage. All the time. Yeah, well, that's why married life is so purifying. If we want to work through all these things, we actually have to reflect and introspect and do some internal work. Yeah, so the mentor, counselor is of the greatest importance. Also, let me add one little thing. We were talking about the non-devotee association, right? We were reading that we should avoid this and. So, and I didn't mention yesterday in Bhaktivenodom Thakur's book Bhaktiloka, he says there that association with emotional involvement, that's when it gets contaminated. Yes. Like when we go to the bank and we have our dealings there, and okay, Hare Krishna, see you later, or not Hare Krishna, whatever. Then our heart is not involved. We just do our dealings there and we go home. That's it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this actually is not even non-devotee association. But what becomes contaminating is if the heart is involved. If we start liking people, that's, we were reading yesterday Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj's things here. Then, that we should do our duty, we should be socially pleasant, but we should be careful not to let their non-devotional consciousness rub off on us, and we should not take pleasure in their activities. So all these things, if we do this, then the heart is involved. And that's when it becomes so contaminating. And well, this makes it very clear that especially we have to be careful with non-devotee relatives, because there's attachment is there, we like them, we are attached, and then if they're non-devotees, the heart is full on open and boof, then you get all this contamination. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that a devotee should not associate with their relatives. But we have to be careful, as I mentioned yesterday. The goal of the association should be that we give our association. We don't take their association. We give them Krishna. And we protect our heart. We keep internally, we keep aloof. And that requires spiritual strength. And if we don't have that spiritual strength, we should keep a distance. I usually tell people, visit your relatives, but short visit. You know, the longer you visit, the more their habits, you know, will affect us, and they're completely different than our devotional habits. And they watch all kinds of stuff and eat and drink all kinds of stuff, and it will affect us. It will guaranteed. But if we just visit 1 or 2 days, keep it short and sweet, and Hare Krishna, see you later. Yeah. Or writing messages, tell them how much we love them and all that. Keep a distance. Yeah, important to know, you know. I mean, same principle we find even on book distribution too. If we are not strong enough to give our association to them, but if we take their association, we will get contaminated. You know, it can easily happen that we think, oh, these non-devotees, they're actually so much nicer often than the devotees. If this enters our mind, ooh, the alarm bell should go. You know, if we start thinking non-devotees are much nicer. Maybe externally they are more well-behaved and polite, that's definitely true, but they're not chanting Hare Krishna. You know, and they're not following the principles. And therefore, you know, all their nice qualities are zero. You know, and even a devotee may have not such nice behavior, but at least they're chanting and they're following, and hopefully all the beautiful qualities of the soul will sooner or later come out. You know? Yes. But if we start thinking they're so much nicer, and then our heart is already full on open and accepts all this contamination there. Okay, so do we have any questions before we start with lesson 3? Since we didn't have much time yesterday to ask for questions. Yes?
How much significance or importance, you know, like does TV play, television?
Well,
I've seen many grihasthas' homes like that thing is there.
Television is already outdated technology, now it's all YouTube, you know. But the screen is the same screen, you know, and the bigger it is, the more it plays the first role in life. I mean, alright, people may want to watch something Krishna conscious, you know, but this watching is always a very passive, you know, consuming, visual stimulations there, distractions. It's a very shallow way of experiencing, you know, especially if we do it regularly, you know. Yeah. I mean, now in India there is the Hare Krishna television channel, Vaishnav Seva Prabhu, from the Desiratory website. He's also the chief surgeon at Bhактивенодом Hospital. He did 2 surgeries on me. So he's got this TV channel, you know, 24 hours. People can watch something there. And I've met devotees, they told me, oh yeah, my parents, they watch TV all the time, and as soon as I come home, the Hare Krishna TV channel is switched on. So at least they watch something Krishna conscious, you know. So some people just have it in the background as background, how do you say? Vibrations. And then they don't feel alone, you know, there's some talking. And yeah, many people do like that, they just immediately switch on radio, TV, just to have this illusory company there of somebody talking. Well, any kind of watching makes you a little dull-headed and passive, and you know, better to actively experience and participate and not just watch. Yeah. If it is very chosen things we watch, okay, but you know, if it is just some dumb movies or what, you know. We'll get back to that at the kids course next week. Oh, anyway, one of my favorite topics. We'll keep it for next week. Okay, so let us hand out materials number 3. This is English And this is for the Russian-speaking devotees. Do you need Russian translation, Madhji? No. Do you understand English? Because there is Russian translation. Okay, everybody has the materials. Yes. Okay, so secret number 2 or 3, depending on whether we call the association a separate secret or not. Keeping our life simple. Yes, we all know Prabhupada's formula, simple living, high thinking. We always repeat it, we all know it, but yet, my God, this is probably one of the biggest challenges in these modern days, to actually really agree to live simple. You know? Yes. Most of us don't want to live simple, we want just as flashy and fancy lifestyle as everybody else in the world. You know, so, and yeah. Let us read 7:14:5. This is again one of my favorites. Prabhupada so nicely explains things. In the human form of life, he should not endeavor for unnecessary necessities. This is already such a unique word combination, you know, unnecessary necessities. Is that translated nicely in Russian?
It seems to be different. Maybe it's a different sentence.
There's no unnecessary necessities?
No, it says we need to just be happy with what we get, following the injunction of Shastra. This is what the first sentence says.
Yeah? Oh my God, see, this is why I'm saying everybody should learn enough English to read Prabhupada's in English. So often I have discovered that especially in the Russian translation, it's something completely different. I mean, I didn't quote the full thing, you know, I only quoted something, so have a look if you come across some unnecessary necessities there. Yeah. So, in the human form of life, he should not endeavor for unnecessary necessities, but should live a very simple life, just maintaining body and soul together. Certainly, one requires some means of livelihood, and according to one's vana and ashram, this means of livelihood is prescribed in the Shastras. One should be satisfied with this. Therefore, instead of hankering for more and more money, a sincere devotee of the Lord tries to invent some ways to earn his livelihood. This is also another very interesting way how Prabhupada expresses this. Do you have that?
Yeah, I think they just missed the first 2 sentences or something.
Okay. What a shame. The unnecessary necessities are so nice. So, a sincere devotee invents some ways to earn his livelihood. You know, that very clearly shows what is a devotee's attitude. You just come up with some idea. You invent. You know? Does not have to be a whole big professional career. Alright, if you're a doctor, lawyer, okay, if you want to do it, do it. You know, but it's not the main thing that we need some whole big career there. No, we invent some ways of earning one's livelihood. And when he does so, Krishna helps him. Earning one's livelihood, therefore, is not a problem. The real problem is how to get free from the bondage of birth, death, and old age. Attaining this freedom and not inventing unnecessary necessities. Yeah, this time.
It says artificial necessities, but it's okay.
Yeah, but in English the very special thing is the necessities, you know, the unnecessary necessities. It actually contradicts each other, you know. Yeah, that's what it makes it so sweet and special. You know, Prabhupada's English is very special. So, attaining this freedom and not inventing unnecessary necessities is the basic principle of Vedic civilization. One should be satisfied with whatever means of life comes automatically. Automatically, here we have to understand this clearly. Automatically does not mean we just sit and, you know, twiddle our thumbs and see what comes automatically. You know, it does not mean that. Now we go out, we do our duty, and what comes then naturally, you know, but not by doing nothing. Very easily we can misunderstand this. Oh, I rely on Krishna, let's see what he's sending. I'm just doing Harinam, nothing else. You know, no, we have to do our duties, you know. And then we should be satisfied with whatever means of life comes automatically by doing one's duty. The modern civilization is just the opposite of the ideal civilization. Here again we have the day and night principle. Every day the so-called leaders of modern society invent something contributing to a cumbersome way of life that implicates people more and more in the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease. Such a nice purport. Very powerful. And I mean, it's a fact, you know, as Prabhupada says, every day the so-called leaders, you know, invent some things that makes life troublesome, cumbersome, more entanglement. We can even say the so-called advancement of a civilization is measured in how many unnecessary necessities they can produce, right? So the more unnecessary necessities they can produce, the more advanced the society is considered to be. But actually, from a spiritual point of view, it's the opposite. You know, those countries where simple living is still in place, they are actually the advanced ones. You know, yes. And you never know. Prabhupada always said one day the time will come when the whole consumerism and modern banking system will all collapse. And then countries like, you know, where people live simple, Bangladesh, they will be the #1 countries that they're already living simple of what they locally produce. They will survive, you know, no problem. When you go in the villages there, you hardly find anything imported or anything, you know. Maybe some little lollies comes from Dhaka or something, but otherwise everything is produced in the villages, you know. Yeah, so they will become the country #1. You know? Yeah, so that's the whole thing, you know, that we are so programmed, so conditioned that we think we need this, we need that. This is another thing to understand, that actually happiness is not dependent on externals. It's a question of consciousness. You can be externally in the most pleasing and comfortable situation, but you can be so miserable. And you can be in very austere conditions, but you can be so happy, you know. Yeah, I've witnessed that in Bangladesh especially. Some people, they're living so simple there, so simple. and they're so happy and jolly, and when you come to their little, mud house there or tin shed house, they're all in ecstasy, and Vaishnava from the West came to our house, and my God, and they're getting something ready to offer you, but then in the West people have everything, and still they're miserable. Often the most wealthy people commit suicide and all that. So happiness is not dependent on having this, having that, having another thing. It's a question of consciousness. Very important to clearly understand. And also Rupa Goswami warns us. What is he warning us? What are some of the impediments? So, what's matching to this topic?
And prayas also excess working and over-accumulating.
Yes, over-endeavoring and over-collecting. Wanting more than what we need to keep body and soul together. Yes, this is such a challenge. Such a challenge. I once had this Pandai program there on Grihastha life. And His Holiness Bhaktivinoda Maharaj was one of the speakers. I asked him to speak about simple living. And he was saying, simple living means whenever you buy something, you ask yourself 3 questions. First question, do I really need this? Second question, do I really need this? And third question, do I really need this? And most likely you will understand, actually I don't. So that's simple living. 3 questions. Yes. And especially in regards to food, buying boga or clothing, we can really waste so much money. I know people, they have 45 saris in their cupboard and they still feel, I don't have enough saris, and half of them I've never worn, and then they already don't like them anymore. Oh my God. It's interesting, in America, if you stay in one family house, they don't even have a wardrobe anymore, they have a whole room. Yes, it's a whole little room with all shelves, because the wardrobe is too small. You need a whole room there with so much hanging space, so many shelves, even that is not big enough. Yes, all the modern houses, they don't have cupboards, they have a whole room.
Storeroom.
Yeah, no, it's like a walking-in cupboard, Yes, and then of course it always looks like, it's all empty, I don't have enough stuff. Yes. And I also remember meeting one person, he was saying, my wife has the whole cupboard of nothing to wear. Her whole cupboard is full of nothing to wear. Because you hear that, I've got nothing to wear, I need some more clothes, I've got nothing to wear. So he was making this joke, whole cupboard full of nothing to wear. Yeah, so you can really waste so much money. Also food, sometimes I stay, again in America, especially with wealthy grihasthas, I stay in their homes. The whole fridge is full of boga and half of it ends up in the bin. Yeah, people just buy and buy and buy, and then half of it goes rotten or ends up in the bin. One fridge is not even big enough. They have 2 or 3 fridges. And half of it goes all rotten. It's actually, you can almost say it's sinful, because this is all part of Krishna's energy, and just, being so wasteful. There is even an instruction, I think Mani Samhita it is, where it says, whatever food you waste, you will be one day short in that. Yeah. So, it should not be wasted because you will experience hunger. I wish I had that, but I don't have it. Yes. So let us read the next one, 7:14.8. One may claim proprietorship to as much wealth as required to maintain body and soul together. But one who desires proprietorship over more than that must be considered a thief, and he deserves to be punished by the laws of nature. Ooh, heavy. You know? Doesn't take much to keep body and soul together. You need very little for that. We are all thieves. Yes, we all endeavor for more than what is required to keep body and soul together. Yeah, see, this is how actually we are meant to see things in Krishna consciousness. That whatever I have in money, property, whatever it may be, it is actually Krishna's. It's not mine. It all belongs to Krishna. I come with nothing, I leave with nothing. It all belongs to Krishna. And I am only entitled what is necessary to keep body and soul together. And the rest I'm meant to offer back to Krishna, use it in his service. Otherwise, what do we have to offer? Nothing. So Krishna gives us something. That is actually the vision we should have. It is not my money, it is Krishna's money. And my quota is what is necessary to keep body and soul together. That's pretty little. Huh? Yes, it's not much at all. Yeah. So, and whatever more we take for our gratification, we are stealing, we are thief. So what's the punishment we are getting? Who understands that? What's the punishment we are getting for being a thief? Yes?
Entanglement.
Exactly. Entanglement, attachment, also miseries because we may lose it and we all in anxiety, or where is this and that and whatever. Krishna takes it away. So, but mainly entanglement, attachment, and good chance for another birth. That's the punishment. Yeah. Yes. So these are all very strong words, and we may theoretically know them, but actually to know means to live accordingly. Then only we know, right? But if we are not even mindful, we don't even strive to live like this, well again, then our family life cannot really be called an ashram. That's what we are talking about here, family life as an ashram. What does it mean to, create our family life in such a way that it is a conducive place to make spiritual advancement? That's an ashram. So, very important, Yeah. There is another nice quote, which I didn't put on your sheet. It's 7:14.6. This 7th canto, 14th chapter, that's called Idea of Family Life. There's so many powerful quotes in it. So many. And I copied one more nice one here. 7:14.6. You can write down the number if you like on your sheet. This is a really good one. So practical, Bhagavatam, so practical. So it says, an intelligent man in human society should make his own program of activities very simple. If there are suggestions from his friends, children, parents, brothers, or anyone else, he should externally agree, saying, yes, yes, that is all right. But internally, he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled. So practical. When I read this the first time consciously, I couldn't help but laughing. How often does that happen to us? That somebody gives us all these smart suggestions, coming mainly from non-devotees. The parents, children, brothers, whatever, Why don't you do this? Oh, you should get a proper house. No, why don't you work more? Blah, blah, blah. So externally we say, yes, yes, that is all right. And then we change the subject. We don't, especially when it's from the parents, we don't start discussing and arguing and trying to convince them. No, they are seniors. We say, yes, yes, I know what you mean, Mum. Yes, yeah, I'll think about it. But we, internally we keep determined not to create a complicated life, with so much entanglement, but we keep it simple, Yeah. Yes, very nice verse. Yeah, so, simple living. Let us go through these guidelines, and then we see what points of discussions we have. So, the ultimate goal of simple life is to chant the holy name. And not only that, but also Shravanam Kirtan, Shravanam also. Only when we keep our life simple can we make chanting our first priority. We were talking about that also in our Holy Name retreat, I think. You were there this time? No. Yeah. No, we don't even have anyone who was there. Oh, you were there, that's right, you were translating there also. Yeah, so that's the whole idea of simple living, that we can focus on chanting, that the Holy Name is really the center. And we were saying, if there's so many issues in the mind, so much to organize and to deal with, and this court case and that thing, then how can we concentrate on the Holy Name? But if we keep our life very simple, then we don't have so many issues to worry about. Yes, and then the mind is more peaceful. We need a certain amount of peace in the mind to actually focus on the Holy Name. But if there's too many issues, too many things we have to organize, very difficult. Yes. Only when we keep our lives simple can we make chanting our first priority. As soon as other goals are more important and our main focus is on material satisfaction and material advancement, then our life becomes complicated and the focus on the Holy Name is lost. That's what's happening. Also, there is this purport 1.8.26, we were discussing it a few times, where Prabhupada says the 4 principles of material advancement, they're actually an obstacle: high parentage, good wealth, high education, bodily beauty. And in the same purport, Prabhupada says, what else does he say? Who remembers?
It's good to be poor.
Huh?
It's good to be poor.
It looks?
It's good to be poor. He says.
No, he doesn't say that in the purport, but no, in that purport he says a person who is situated in ... cannot be so sincere.
On the path of material progress.
Yes.
He is materially well situated.
In great material satisfaction. Yeah, a person who is situated in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. Why not?
Satisfied in material life.
And therefore
Why should he surrender to Krishna?
Well, why should he call out in helplessness? We are meant to call out in helplessness. That's the whole point. Material satisfaction is completely opposite to helplessness. How will you feel helpless when you are situated in great material satisfaction? So, but we are all striving from great material satisfaction, I think, right? Yeah? If we are honest, we have to admit that. So, not very conducive to spiritual progress, you know? Yes. And then simply the focus is somewhere else, you know, economic development and there can only be one priority. Either it's economic development, material satisfaction, or it is pure bhakti. You know? As soon as pure bhakti is not the main priority, well, then it's sideline. We can't have both. Yeah. Not compatible. Yes. Then remember that your house, money, family, etc. are all Krishna's property, and that all these have to be engaged in his service. He has very kindly given you all these out of his mercy, and he may take them away as he pleases. So be grateful for what you have and engage all these gifts in his service with devotion and detachment. Yes, that's what we just now explained. Yeah, that's the Krishna conscious vision, that actually it's not mine, it's Krishna's property. Not only our money, but also our family members, you know, not my children, of course they are kind of my children, but actually they're spirit souls which Krishna has put in our care for some years. Yeah. And then when they're 15, 16, we have to let go, we have to let them move on and decide how they want to live. We'll talk about that next week. Yeah. So everything has to be seen as Krishna's property, or that has to be engaged in his service. So again, it's easy said, but you know, to actually live accordingly, requires really that we have Krishna in the center there, really, and not just saying it. Avoid distracting, mundane entertainment offered through cinema, TV, internet, and other means. Be careful that you are not overwhelmed by electronic gadgetry, communication devices, and social media. Use them judiciously as tools if you must. Do not become helpless tools in their hands. This is Bhaktivinoda Maharaj's words. These guidelines. Yeah, so, big topic. Unfortunately, I see it again and again, how people just become slaves of the social media. They spend hours with their phones, but I never see them with a book in their hands, you know. Yes, only on the phone, only on the phone. Very sad. Yes. Steals our time with so much nonsense stuff, you know. Yeah. And then we are surprised we don't have time and taste to read Prabhupada's books. You know. Yes. It's a question of having a higher taste. If we have a higher taste, then, you know, we don't want to get caught up in all these things. But if the higher taste is not there, it's just some cheap and simple way of passing the time with some distractions and, you know, watching this and looking at all different pictures. Purity or impurity, in brackets, of the source of your livelihood will also affect your life and consciousness. Hence, choose professions that have minimum possible material contamination and spiritual risk. Avoid professions in which there is a clear violation of the four regulative principles. For example, working for a company that produces or sells liquor or meat products or whatever. Do not involve yourself in overly risky money-earning ventures. Being lured by the prospect of very quick and large profits. Avoid illegal business activities of any sort. Yeah, there is quotes in the Shastra too. I've got them all in the book, but I haven't got them all here on the paper. But yeah, the source of livelihood. Better to have some simple, honest work rather than, some stock market, Bitcoin, all these things. It actually cultivates dishonesty because we want to make quick and big profit without actually offering some proper service or goods. It's actually cheating. Yeah. That's why, in India, for example, this whole Bitcoin thing is illegal. Yeah. In India, not allowed. We had some scandals here in Mayapur with some devotees having some Bitcoin activities. And the accounts were frozen and all that. Yeah. But everybody said, this ICICI bank, they're just freezing accounts and this and that. But there was a good reason, because for them it's illegal activity. The bank will get in trouble with the government. So in India there's still a little bit more understanding of what is a bona fide source of income.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Illegalizing is happening.
Oh, is it? Okay, there you go. Yeah. Or even just stock market things, because it's you're not offering any proper service or goods. It's fancy gambling, actually. It's polished up gambling. That's what it is. And it doesn't cultivate an honest character. It has some effect on the character. Subtle, but that you're just trying to find your way through life by, doing as little as necessary or as little as possible and getting some big money overnight. This is gambling. And I know devotees, they were active in these things, lost everything. These things happen, that all of a sudden some crash is happening and all your money is gone. So, yes.
Regarding that topic, stocks and mutual funds, I understood the part where you want immediate profits, and then you give up everything just to get that returns. How about at a consistent rate, some savings you do, some investments?
Yeah, that's a different thing there, you're not speculating. If you may have some fixed term deposit or what, and you get some interest, that's a different thing. But with stock market, I know some people who were active in this, non-devotees. Actually, my father was pretty good at it. But he was every day on the phone, ringing, telling, sell this, buy that. It's a whole mindset. You have to be on the ball, and it's complete speculation. So they're high risk, things, Do we still have some materials for our, like, somebody can distribute some English materials, should be there still. Yeah, so that's the whole thing, it's a high risk apron. It's high risk. That's what makes it gambling. But if you just put some fixed term deposit and you get some interest, there's no high risk, there's no risk. It doesn't occupy your mind, it's just there and all right, it just brings some interest at the end of the term or whatever. Completely different thing. Huh? No?
The thing is, like stock markets, there are various kinds, you know, some little.
Anyway, let's not get it.
There's this high risk, I understood, that disturbs our mind and we are unable to focus.
Yeah, all these things where you really have to be on the ball, you have to be alert, and you have the risk of losing everything. That's gambling. You know? Yes. Yes. But if you just invest in some fixed thing there, it doesn't contaminate your mind. You know? Yeah.
After class,
No need to discuss now all the various options. I just give the principles and you work it out yourself. Yes. Yeah, and I mean sometimes we have this that devotees coming to Krishna consciousness, they may still work. I mean, in Australia there's quite a few devotees who were in the slaughterhouse before, in the slaughterhouse, killing cows. And they became devotees. So, sometimes it may take a while until you can actually let go of the job, we can't just immediately, you have to leave the job today. You have to give people a little bit of time to orientate themselves or when they work in some restaurant where they cook meat or whatever, but we should be very clear. If we want to take bhakti seriously, we have to change our life. We can't just think, Krishna will excuse and I'm chanting, so that will take the reactions. No, we have to adjust our life. Maybe not the same day, but we have to make a conscious plan how we can transform our life there. So, next one. Spend wisely. Do not unnecessarily spend on things that may not be really required. Live reasonably simply. Follow the principle of simple living, high thinking. Do not be tempted or attracted by or become envious of the wealth or position of others. Do not become a victim of the modern day consumerist culture, with its emphasis on excessive consumption and flashy lifestyle. Pretty nicely put. Yeah, spend wisely. I mean, my motto throughout my whole life, no matter whether it was grihastha or now, I always like to pretend that I'm poor. I pretend that I'm poor even though I've never been poor in my life. But I do as if. That's a good motto to have. So basically I am not very eager to spend money when it comes to my sense enjoyment, my comforts. But for other people's spiritual upliftment, I'm happy to be very generous and book them tickets here and there or whatever. Yes. But for my comfort and enjoyment, no, I don't want to spend money. That I consider a waste. But if it is used in other devotees, for other devotees' spiritual advancement, I'm happy to be very generous. Or sometimes also for my own spiritual advancement. To go somewhere to get some boost and so on. Yes. Yeah, so I think this is a good motto to have, I mean, also let's remember, I mean, in the Grihastha book, I'm going into details, that these days, people often live on credit. Everything is bought on credit. See, the banks They know people's uncontrolled senses, and then they allure them. Oh, enjoy now, pay tomorrow, you know? And people buy all these things, and then they pay it off, and with such higher interest rate, you end up paying double of, you know, what the thing originally cost. Yeah, and then sometimes people really overestimate their strength to pay back. In America, I've come across this. People buy 2 houses, one to live in and one for the investment. And some houses are all big castles. You know, I stayed in one house with 8 bathrooms. In one house, 8 bathrooms. Can you imagine? Oh. And then people are surprised that they have to work like asses to pay it all off, you know? And then, oh, the wife is sick, can't work anymore. Oh my God, how are we going to pay off the mortgage? So, I mean, why entangling ourselves in such things, you know? And it's all the plan of some people up there, you know, just to keep the whole consumerism going. You know, and all the advertisement, yes, only pay so and so little every month, no problem. And some people buy everything on credit, whether it's a car. I mean, big things, a house, obviously, you have to take some credit and pay it off. But you know, a car and a new washing machine and this and that, everything on credit, everything on credit. They don't have the money, but they have to have it all. You know, so a good motto is to say, if I don't have it, if I don't have the cash, I can't have it. You know? Yes, that's common sense budgeting, you know? Rather than taking loans, borrowing money, there's that. It just complicates life. And yeah, sometimes something happens and then, you can't pay it off and you're all in anxiety and, oh my God. I mean, here in India, even farmers, they commit suicide because they can't pay off the expenses of their loans for seeds and tractor and this and that, you know. Speaker's not working, isn't it?
It's okay.
I mean, can somebody quickly see if it's actually switched on? Because strangely enough, it even works when it's not switched on, but it strains my voice more. Is that switch not there? In the back, in the back.
It is on.
It's on, yeah? There's 0 and 1, so it's on 1. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, even here in Mayapur, I once took a taxi and the driver was just really falling asleep. He was just falling asleep. I was going out to take a chakra. Thank God it was not to the airport. So I just said to him, let's pull over, he should have a nap. And then he, you know, shared his life. He bought this car and he has to drive like mad to pay it off. And the day before he was on a wedding, and the weddings were going till midnight, past midnight. He had only 2 or 3 hours sleep, and then he was taking me to a chakra. You know, so and he was just, I don't manage, I can't meet the payments. He was in complete anxiety. You know, yes. So that's what people experience. You know, and then sometimes they just kill themselves because they can't see a way out. You know. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not here to make any rules, but I dare say a house or flat is really the only thing which should be paid off, because, yeah, if you think about it, if you pay rent or you pay off a house, it's often the same. So, and then after 20 years, it's yours. So obviously there it makes sense, you know, but anything else, you know, if we don't have the money, it means we can't have it. Sorry, that's life. You know, we have to live. I mean, the best motto is to live below your your budget, voluntarily poor, you know, then you will be happy in life. But as soon as you live above your budget, you will be in anxiety, for sure. And the senses are never satisfied. There's another powerful verse in the Bhagavatam where it says, doesn't matter what you have in life, if you have not learned to control the senses, you will never be satisfied. You know, it doesn't matter how many souls, how many cars, how many this, that, whatever. You know? Yes. Yeah. So living according to one's budget, preferably even lower, that is a good attitude in life. Yeah. But most people don't live like that because of the uncontrolled senses. And yes, credit card not so difficult to get. And you know, then you can just buy, and yeah, you don't even realize how much you have to pay off, and you live constantly in debt. You know, not a good way to live. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and I mean here Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says, do not be tempted or attracted by or become envious of the wealth or position of others. You know? Yeah, so if we, you know, this whole money consciousness and position and envy, and it contaminates our heart, contaminates our relationships. You know, it's really not what we should invite into our life. So, and yeah, do not become a victim of the modern day consumerist culture, which is with its emphasis on excessive consumption and flashy lifestyle. Yeah, I mean, I've met people, they have 6 mobile phones. You know, one is not good enough. And then you need constantly the latest one with all the new functions. And then you have the drawer full of mobile phones. You know, or even same with cars. You know, not just one car, but no, then the wife has her car and the daughter has her car. Oh, yes. I mean, really, America, this family, I'm not going to say where, this family with the 8 bathrooms, you know, I hope they don't hear this. They had this car, I've never even seen anything like it, where the door does not open normally to the side, but the whole side lifts up. You know, I mean, this is something you only know from the movies or something, right? You ever seen such a car? In real?
Yes. Lamborghini. Ferrari.
But you've actually seen it in real life?
Mumbai.
In Mumbai? But where the whole side opens up to the... And I was standing a little too close and boof, you know, I was hit almost there, you know. Yeah, I mean, my eyes almost popped out of my head. I had never seen anything like it. You know. Always something new, you know. Feeding the false ego. Look at my car, it's like this. Also, this was in Tucson, in Arizona. Pretty unusual place. So we went there on a Saturday evening, Harinam, and there was these cars going. I mean, the whole city was in madness. You know, Saturday afternoon, everybody out there to enjoy. And then there was this car. It was some kind of a convertible, and all of a sudden it was lifting up on one side and just driving on 2 wheels. And the other side hanging in the air, you know, and they were all sporting up and down the streets there. Yeah, I really was thinking, what's that? Am I dreaming here, or is this real? You know, I've never seen anything like this. You know. Just normal car driving, and then all of a sudden, the 2 side wheels are going up, and it just continues driving on 2 wheels, and then it comes down again. and then the other side goes up, you know, all this stuff, you know, people just running out of ideas. How to enjoy it. We had Harinam there. You know.
The cars were also dancing.
Huh?
The cars were also dancing.
Yeah, we had our Harinam there and they were showing up there. No, my God. You know, I mean, America, not that I'm a racist or anything, but it's really the headquarters of crazy life, you know. Anyway, so save money wisely for the future, yet take care to avoid a hoarding mentality. So again, find balance, you know, that we want to spend money wisely and we want to save, especially when we are grihastha, we have kids, we have to have a little reserve. We can't just leave ourselves always, you know, at the end of the month, nothing is left last week, oh sorry, and we can't even buy any food, you know, so we have to have a little reserve there, you know. So we have to save money wisely, also for the future, you know. Tomorrow we will talk about giving in charity and distributing prasadam and all these duties of grihastha. So we should put some money aside for some spiritual activities, some trip to some festival, you know, depending on our income, you know, so there is money to recharge and go somewhere, you know, yes, especially when we live in the West, you know, and especially if we live a little further away from a temple. That's the thing, if we are not an active member of a community, you know, because, well, due to our work, or we just don't want to change, you know, our life, well, then the motto is, as much as possible, you have to go somewhere, you know, where something is happening, Radhadesh mellows, or this thing, or that thing, so you have to go, you know, every opportunity, you have to go there and recharge and get inspired and get association. That's the other option. But best is, of course, to arrange our life in such a way that we are an active part of a dynamic community. So, but in any case, we should put some money aside for special events and also for giving in charity. And that we will leave for tomorrow. But yet, you know, we should not have, sometimes we come across that we are not balanced. And we're just so miserly and we don't want to spend any money on anything, and the wife doesn't get any nice clothing and no decorations and nothing. You know, so no, sorry, we can't go anywhere, we don't have money. You know, so it's a question of balance. You know, yeah. So no hoarding mentality. You know. You understand hoarding? Yeah, I mean, again, it's also a question sometimes. I mean, having a good hand with money, it's actually karmically set. You know? I know people, doesn't matter how much you try and teach them, they never have money. And some people, they always have money. So it's kind of something you're almost born with, you know. So sometimes the husband is not very good with money, but the wife is. Well, then it would be good if she is like she is his treasure. You know, he is the boss, but she's just the treasure, you know. Yeah, because sometimes, you know, if the person wants to be in charge but doesn't have a good hand with money, then easily money is misspent, and you know, and it also is a question of self-confidence actually. If people are insecure, they always have to show off with money and they invite everybody and shout this and that. You know, shouting means you invite people, not shouting through the month. But you invite them, yes, let's go out for dinner and this and that and fancy. But then the money is actually not there, you know. So there's often some insecurities and people have to try and be impressive to others by spending a lot, you know, showing off how rich they are, but actually they're not. You know. Yes, so that has to be seen, you know, who is the better one with the money and the budgeting and all that. All right, let us, well, we can still look at this also. Examples from Shastra of devotees who keep a simple life. You know, Sudama in Krishna Lila, Kolavicha Srila, not very far where his residence was, you know, Raj. Yeah, so Kolavicha Srila, he was so poor, but yet so ecstatic, you know, having his banana leaf shop there, banana plates, cups, whatever. And Mahaprabhu was teasing him and bargaining with him. And then Kolavicha Srila had this iron pot, a really, you know, low quality pot, and Mahaprabhu was drinking from this pot. Oh, this water is like pure nectar and all this. And it is also described how at night Kolavicha Srila, he was in ecstasy, chanting, calling out for the Lord, you know, and people thought, oh, he's got hunger pain. Poor fellow can't sleep. He's so poor, he's dying. But now he was in ecstasy. You know. And then also here's Sudama, also very nice story. But there we have to be sure we don't misunderstand this, because Sudama actually, he was pretty happy in his poverty. So alright, his wife said, well, you've got this friend Krishna, can't you go and see him? Maybe he can help us a little. So, and Sudama completely forgot to ask him, you know. We have this nice picture. Oh, it's on my brochure actually. You know, when Krishna is bathing Sudama's feet. Yeah, one of my favorite pictures. It's on the front of my brochure. So, and yes, Krishna welcomes him. He's his guru friend from the early days, and they're talking, and he completely forgets to ask, and he has this chipped rice wrapped up in his chadar, and Krishna says, well, didn't you bring me a gift? Oh yeah, he's all embarrassed to show him this rice. And, you know, the Lord eats the rice. Oh, this is like nectar. So, and then he walks home, you know, and then when he comes home he sees this whole big palace. His wife is all transformed, youthful beauty, so much opulence. But interestingly, probably I don't find it in my verse book, but I have a verse there that actually, no, it's not a verse, it's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that actually Sudama was lamenting when he got that opulence. Oh, Krishna is not giving me the highest pure bhakti. He's trying to allure me with some material opulence. He was lamenting, yes. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that protected Sudama from getting into Maya with all this opulence. Right? Nice point which we often overlook. You know, sometimes we understand these leelas in a very shallow way that, oh yes, Sudama was so poor and just see, Krishna gave him a whole house. So that's what happens when I practice Krishna consciousness, Krishna will give me a whole big castle. But no, this is not what bhakti is all about. And that's a very shallow understanding of the whole leela, you know, the pastime. But actually Sudama, he was very unhappy in one sense. Of course his wife was quite happy, not wanting to minimize her. But yeah, but he was not happy, he was lamenting. Krishna's simply tempting me with some material opulence. He's not giving me the real thing because he feels I'm not qualified for the real thing. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that's what protected him from getting in life. So, if Krishna would give us a whole big castle, we would say, just see, Krishna has recognized what a great devotee I am, and that's why he's giving me all this wealth. That would be our reaction, and then we would get all puffed up and carried away, and most likely we would misspend and misuse the opulence, and we would get admired for it. Yeah, so a nice, sweet point, that Sudama was not in ecstasy, he was actually lamenting. Yeah. Alright, so let me see, do we have any questions about earning one's income? There is actually so many more things to say. I mean, in the book I have a whole big chapter on this, but how much can I present? Yes.
Mataji, I have two questions. Let me go with the first one. How do we draw the line, like, this is unnecessary necessities in this time and age, the partner may say, no, this is very necessary. If I see from my perspective, oh, this is completely unnecessary. How do we draw the line? No, this is not necessary. And
well, what do you think? What's the answer? Very simple answer. Mentorship. Having a counselor. Because as long as we have material desires and attachments, we can't really see objectively where we stand. That's why we need this aloof person who is guiding us. Yeah. Because again, it can be imbalanced. The wife may want to have something and we think it's all unnecessary, but maybe it is necessary and adequate actually for her, because we will come, hopefully on Friday, to some quotes where Prabhupada says how the husband has to provide all beautiful things. Bengal saris, this, that, yes, nice ornaments. There's this one quote where Prabhupada says, even if we are not wealthy, we may not be able to have gold or silver Bengal, but then it will be glass or lead. And Prabhupada says, but Bengal must be there. Bengal must be there. So funny. Prabhupada is so practical and funny. Bengal must be there. So husband may think, it's Bengal nonsense. Bengal must not be there. But no, Bengal must be there. So yeah, so it's actually Bhagavatam says everything. It's all there. Yeah. But sometimes we don't want to hear it, and we don't want to know it, or we don't actually know it, because we're too busy reading Facebook instead of Bhagavatam. We have to take guidance of somebody who is aloof and who knows, who has some knowledge, What else? It's our second question.
Okay. Mataji, you said about one who is materially satisfied, he won't be interested towards the Lord and spiritual activities. So, Mataji, someone who is...
Prabhupada says that.
Yes, definitely. How do we understand when a person has some material, possessions or qualification, it seems like he's materially satisfied. So should he just start leaving those things or go in the reverse direction, or how should he act that
somebody who's got
some material,
opulence.
yes, some opulence. So how does he act? Like, should he go against those opulence? Like,
No, as we said, we use whatever is required to keep body and soul together for ourselves, and the rest we use in Krishna service. There's so many projects, we can donate this, that, feed devotees, put on festivals. There's no shortage of how to spend money. Yes. But also again, we should not be, we should not be unintelligent. We should not just donate everything from one day to another. No, we have to keep some reserve, this and that. And the wife and the kids may need a few little things which we may think are necessary. So, but we should be very generous, in using that wealth in Krishna's service, understanding it's not mine. Yeah.
Then this conflicts with then when we reserve something for our maintenance and everything, isn't that like material satisfaction? Like for our material satisfaction we are reserving?
No, we are not reserving for our material satisfaction. We are reserving for some emergencies, for going to different places, for spiritual upliftment.
Emergencies, that's the point.
Yeah, see, it's a very subtle thing of consciousness, that whether we are striving for material satisfaction, whether that is our goal in life, and we are working so hard just to accumulate more and more, so we enjoy material satisfaction, or whether it is just coming of its own accord, but we have no real interest to enjoy it all and feel comfortable. No, we're just thinking how we're gonna use it, Yeah. I mean, sometimes it can be more difficult to spend money wisely in Krishna consciousness than making it. For many people the problem is how do I get more money, but then for people who actually have money and they are in Krishna consciousness, it's often a problem. How do I actually spend it in a proper way, Yes. Because even within Krishna consciousness you can misspend money. Yes. Yeah. So, not so easy. Not so easy. Yes. What else? Yes.
It's also a question of balance, but sometimes devotees live so simply that they don't have anything to give in charity. So that's not good, is it? So we should strive for having enough for ourselves, but then enough also for serving others. Because sometimes we think, okay, I need so little, so I will work for 1 hour a week and that's enough.
Yeah, it's true. It's a fact. Because the grihastha ashram is meant to provide for all the other 3 ashrams. Right? Brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, sannyasis. And a grihastha has already the duty of earning some income for the family. So he should earn a little extra so he can be charitable. Yeah, definitely. And sometimes, I came across all these things. A very common thing is, how do I put this that I don't offend anybody? No, but, I'm not talking about anybody specifically, but it's just a common thing that it's a little hard for the men to really embrace this role of earning an income, Because it's troublesome having to go out there and somehow earn some income, and there is some certain kind of Brahminical laziness that some men say, well, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm a Brahmana, and Harinam Sankirtan is the Yuga Dharma. So alright, we have 2 dharmas, the eternal dharma which is Harinam Sankirtan, but then there's the temporary Dharma, which is depending on the body we have and the phase of life we are in. You know? So let's not get all mixed up here by saying, oh, Harinam Sankirtan is the Yuga Dharma, and if I just go 8 hours a day on Sankirtan, then Krishna will provide. You know, this is a little simplistic. You know, no. If we have a family and kids, we have to make some income, some living. We can't just, oh, Harinam Sankirtan all day. No, sorry. It's a misinterpretation of the philosophy. And yeah, we come across this kind a lot. Or that people simply hide behind this point, yeah, I'm not a Vaishya. Well, too bad. You know, even then you also have to do your duty. You look at Kolovech's Srila. He had his leaf plate shop there. You know, he was there every day, most likely. You know, so he's not escaping his duty and saying, oh sorry, I'm not a Vaishya, I can't make money, therefore I don't do it. No. You know, we have to be dutiful. And then we have to be willing to live according to what we can earn. And a wife should look at that before she marries her. As we mentioned the day before yesterday. You know? Because the etiquette is, once they are married, she has to be satisfied, even if it is potato every meal. You know, she has to be creative and work out some different recipes every day with potatoes to make it all tasty. And she has to be cheerful. You know, so that's the etiquette. Otherwise, husband is not the hero. Husband will not like it if she is not satisfied. Oh, again potato, when is this guy finally getting some money together and all this? Even if she thinks that, husband will feel it, he will not feel encouraged and inspired to do his duty. So it's the wife's responsibility to look, can this man, you know, earn enough to satisfy my needs? Especially considering how important the role of motherhood is. We should understand that at least the first few years, when the kids are very small, when they are under 5 or 6, the mother should not have some pressure that she has to earn, you know? Because that will take her attention away of being the first guru and planting the seed of bhakti in the child's heart. So he has to take that responsibility, at least for the first few years. And we will discuss also what effects it has if the wife is the main breadwinner. You know, it has so many effects. So yeah, this all has to be considered, and she has to see, can he provide enough? You know, but when we enter by falling in love and having the pink glasses on, and then, oh, it will be all right, we love each other, you know, and then after a year or something, or even already 6 months, there's all these arguments and dissatisfactions over money, you know. So we have to look at that before. And that's why we said yesterday he has to make some effort to prepare so the wife knows this is what he can provide. But if he hasn't even started yet, you know, often the men say, well, first let the candidate come and then I, you know, make some efforts to earn money. No. He has to start first so she can see what she will get herself into if she marries him, you know. Yeah. So yeah, has to be all nicely done according to Krishna's recommendations, Vaishnava etiquette, you know, and that there will be no dissatisfactions. Yeah. What did you ask? I forgot.
Charity, you know, charity.
So
yeah.
Not just enough for you,
Yeah.
but extra.
Yes. Yeah. So we will get to that tomorrow when we discover how important it is to give in charity. Because, you know, grihastha life comes together with this I, me and mine. the grihasthas need some sense of ownership that motivates them to be dutiful. If nothing belongs to them, then they don't feel so inspired to really work hard. But if they have some sense of ownership, this is my flat, this is my whatever, that makes them more dutiful and responsible. And to loosen this knot of attachment to my house, my whatever, that's why we have to give in charity, to loosen the knot of attachment. So it's a very important part of grihastha life, is this point of giving in charity. And not just only earning what I need, and sorry, I'm a poor brahmana. No, we have to give in charity also. To our guru, to our community where we are practicing. When we go to the dham, we should give in charity. Yes. In the West, this is not really understood so much. But we'll leave that for tomorrow. But another thing I wanted to mention, I need something for my throat here, that sometimes we are maintained by the temple, right? So first of all, let's be clear. Being maintained by the temple most likely may be a temporary situation. Very often I've seen this, that yes, at one stage the temple needs us. Oh yes, please come, no problem, come with your family, we will take care of you. So, and then, some months, years later, sorry, there's a brahmachari, he can do it for free. You've got too many kids, we can't pay for this anymore. And then, you lost your source of income. Very common thing. And then sometimes when people don't understand this properly, they feel, I got kicked out of ISKCON. But no, hey, you didn't get kicked out of ISKCON. You just finally brought back to the duty that you should be playing anyway. Because the grihasthas are meant to maintain the temple, and not the temple is not meant to maintain the grihasthas. Yes. So we are not being kicked out of ISKCON. We are simply, all of a sudden, kicked back to our duty. That's all it is. But people sometimes, it's when they lack the knowledge. So let me ask you, what can easily happen when we are dependent on temple maintenance apart from this? What else happens? Let's see if anybody comes up with this. It's actually pretty obvious.
Loses faith.
No, just let's imagine you're paid by the temple. So what creeps in?
It's not selfless service, so it's working for
It's
money.
no selfless service. Yes, you're working for money. You see your service as a job, right? I've seen that a lot. Then somebody else gets the service and all of a sudden they're never to be seen again. So they came all this time just because it was their job. And what else does it do? Not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily make you lazy, no. But what does it do? Well, just to speed up the process here because time is going. Well, very easily you will want to keep other devotees below you. You don't want them to come up because then they may take your service and then you lost your source of income. Right? It invites competitiveness, envy, keeping others down, feeling threatened if somebody else is more capable. Yes, this is something we don't want to invite into our relationships amongst devotees. We should uplift people. make them more successful than we are, not keeping them down just so I can have my paid service here. Yeah. I always advise people, don't base your family life on maintenance coming from the temple. This can be maybe in the beginning transition period, until you stand on your feet. If you've been a brahmachari for 10 years and you're not quite sure yet how you're going to do it, or ideally you should put on white before even there is a candidate for marriage, and you should work out how you earn your income, and then you invite the wife into your life. But if it hasn't gone like that, alright, let it be some transition period, but it has to be clear, I have to find my own source of income, independently from temple services. Yeah. And even if we are maintained by the temple, we have to give something. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Also another scenario which I often come across, when people try and earn their livelihood through preaching. Is that a good idea?
Very good idea. Idea is good.
Well, let's start like this. What did Prabhupada say? What's the best way to earn your income? Book distribution. Prabhupada was saying book distribution is the best business. I know some devotees, one of them is in Australia, he actually has maintained always his family by book distribution. But it is not for everybody, it's quite a bit of a challenge, in winter and summer and rain, and that it doesn't affect your distribution, that you don't have that feeling, oh, let me quickly distribute a few books, I have to pay the rent, and then you become a book salesman, because you simply want to get the money, so one has to be pretty good at book distribution and, confident and depending on Krishna. Not everybody can do that for their whole life. But Prabhupada said book distribution, best business. What comes next? Prasadam distribution. Yes, definitely. There's so many ways, restaurants, catering, we have, I'm sure you all know Pradyumna and Sudevi Mataji. They have this famous YouTube channel, I Love Mayapur. Right? You know them?
Yes.
Yeah. They are friends of ours, we know them. So they have some really good catering program in Europe, in Germany. So in summer they just go 2-3 months per year to Germany, go to some rock festivals, different events, have a whole prasadam marathon, and that gives them enough money to live here for the whole year basically. Yes. So prasadam can be really good business. They have a mobile kitchen, some trailer which they just pop up and whole kitchen there, and or restaurant, and I mean also Dao Mataji, you know her, she's singing in the mornings, she's leaving us soon, so we need somebody else to sing here. So she also has catering events, she's a good cook, she goes to different yoga retreats and this and that and whatnot, and she cooks there and she makes quite good money with that. There's quite a few devotees in Germany. And she doesn't only cook in Germany, they invite her to Italy and Mallorca and all over the place. And it's just by word of mouth, they know her, she's got her regular customers, and there's several devotees in Germany who do very effective, lucrative catering. So, prasadam. So we have to be a little clever, and we have to be willing to work hard, because cooking is quite hard work. But yeah, everybody likes to eat. Everybody celebrates events. So, and what's the next? If we, book distribution, if we can't do that, prasadam, if you're just not a cook, what's the next thing?
Self-employment. Self-employment.
Yeah, self-employment, buying, selling something, doing something there, designing websites, whatever. Or if we can't do that,
Mataji, I've heard this.
hang on, yes.
Kirtan, doing kirtan with some.
We'll get to that.
Yes, okay.
So what's the next option after? If we can't be self-employed, we can't buy and sell things, we're not clever on the computer, what's the next best thing?
Renting, in like dhams and everything, rent.
Rent, real estate. Well, I put that in self-employment. But no, having a job in a devotee company, that can also be fine. So and if we can't do that, well, then we have to get an outside job. It's not that, oh, this is Maya. We have thousands of devotees who have jobs in the material world. I mean, here, Chaupadi community in Mumbai, there's so many professionals, doctors, lawyers, dentists, whatnot, and they have their jobs in companies and this and that, or people who are just employed somewhere, IT and so many things. Yeah. But one has to be able to balance one's life and has good sadhana. So now, earning one's income through preaching or kirtan. So what do we easily become?
It's like professional Bhagavatam reciters, the Prabhupada criticized.
Yes.
Professional kirtan bands.
Professional reciters of either Bhagavatam or the Holy Name. So in the Bhagavatam it says we should not even hear from professional reciters. Yes. If we speak just to earn money, this will contaminate our speaking, because then we think, oh yeah, I have a bill coming up, so what am I going to talk about? Okay, some wishy-washy, airy-fairy thing there, which is popular, which people like to hear, so I get a lot of people to come and pay the fees, and so it will contaminate our preaching. Best to keep preaching and earning one's livelihood separately. There is also an instruction in the book. I have the quote, but I don't have it now. When I wrote the book, I was researching more and so on. So there is an instruction that actually a grihastha should not even accept charity, especially if he is not Brahminical. Charity should not be used just to pay your family bills, because then the person giving the charity will not make any advancement, if it's just for paying your bills or something. Actually, charity should be used really in Krishna service, or for the worship of the deities, and not just to pay your rent or something. We are actually not entitled to do that. Good to hear, Yes. Because sometimes people say, oh, I'm just preaching, I get donations. Well, so best is to keep things separately, the preaching and the earning the livelihood. There is one little exception: if we teach something, if we teach English, Russian, playing mridanga, harmonium, singing, I mean, for that we don't even need to be a devotee actually. Anybody can teach these things. So that's a different thing. There we're just offering the knowledge, the lessons, and we accept money. But if we are teaching devotional topics, You know, if we give a nectar of devotion seminar or something, or we teach Bhakti Shastri, then we become a professional reciter. So it's pretty subtle, you know. Yeah. Also in this book I have a whole chapter on living in rural communities, you know, in regards to simple living, earning one's income. Only a few comments because we don't have the time. Just a few comments. During pandemic, this is when it really hit me. Why Prabhupada was emphasizing again and again and again the importance of these farm communities. Because then I realized, my God, because pandemic life in the cities was getting really more crazy, uncomfortable, so many really, disturbed, negative mindset people were around, and oh my God, But yeah, it's very clear, Kali Yuga is progressing like mad. If we really want, especially also to bring our children, in good consciousness, and also maintain our sanity, we have to extricate ourselves from this madness of city life. We have to create our own bubbles, our Krishna conscious bubbles, our communities, and where life is really, nice, in connection with nature and good energy and nice community spirit, preferably in schools but the city life, it gets more and more crazy. And living in a community means we have to go back to learning to produce something with our hands. That's village life. I grew up in the village in South Germany. I remember every second house was a farmhouse with cows. I used to go with a milk can to the farm and get the milk, was drinking it from the milk can on the way home and all that. And every other house that was not a farmhouse was some tradesman, some blacksmith, some carpenter, some this, that, whatever. They were all producing things. Even some shepherd, had the sheep, was shearing the sheep there, and then making the wool, and all these trades 60 years ago, they were still going, full on in the villages. It was all about that. That's natural village life, Unless we learn to produce things, then village life, if we have to drive 50 kilometers to the next city to sit in our insurance office there, what is this? This is not simple village life, so we have to go back to learning to produce things, all these crafts and trades, and then village life is fantastic. Just imagine the kids growing up like that, when the father has his workshop there, his carpentry workshop, and he makes all beautiful altars and vyasasans from wood and all that. I mean, how fantastic for kids to grow up like that. Then when they're 8 or 10, they can help the father, and they naturally grow into the trade. Fantastic childhood, And we don't yet have to put up with all this bad association, and we work freelance. Now with internet, it's not so difficult to build up some business of some stuff you produce. Especially wood is such a nice material. If I was a young fellow, I would learn carpentry and make all nice things from wood. It was my favorite subject at school and as a kid, woodwork. Yeah, so, yeah, there's so many things to, we don't have to have some high university degree and then we become unemployed anyway, nobody needs us. What's the use of that? Let's get back to producing things, And that's the foundation of religious life. If we are not willing to learn these things, let me share some examples. We don't really have the time. But in Czech Republic there's this farm, Krishnov. I've spent quite a bit of time there. And there's one family, he just learned by himself how to make these tiled stoves, which people have in cold countries. Here in India you don't know these things. But in Western, in Eastern Europe or Canada and all these cold climate countries, they have these tiled stoves where you light a fire and you can cook on them also, but they heat the whole house. Yeah. And he just taught himself how to build them, how to make the nice tiles. He makes them all himself, all custom made, what people want, colors, patterns, everything. And he's got his workshop there on the farm, and he's doing really well. He's cleaning up. Yes. He told me he can't even accept all the orders because there's only 2-3 people who know how to build these stoves in the whole Czech Republic. So, all you have to do is come up with an idea. Yes, come up with an idea. Yes, he didn't even study it much. He just did some courses online, experimented. He's even employing some ladies to paint and color the tiles and everything, and he's got his own whole little business there. Or I know another family on the same farm. He is a welder and blacksmith, so he's got a job, but he's also got his own workshop, and he makes all these beautiful metal fences and gates and all these things. Yes, very very decorative, artistic. Yes, and he makes good money with that. He built his own house, everything. So in these trades, there's so much, future. You can create something that can be creative. Yes, and that is the foundation to village life. Because in these rural communities is always the problem: how will people earn some income? So that's where the answer lies. Let's learn some trades here. All right. We've got only and we still have to go through our list. I think we can't have more discussions now. Sorry. Let's go through the last secret of success. Always keep a good balance between material needs and spiritual needs. We mentioned it already a few times here and there. So, take decisions, small or big, in life according to how your Krishna consciousness will be affected, directly or indirectly. This is a really important motto to have. Decisions in life should not be taken what's pleasing to my senses and my mind, but how will it affect my Krishna consciousness? Right? That's how our first consideration should be. Consider the short-term and long-term implications of your decisions. Accept whatever is favorable for your Krishna consciousness and reject that which is unfavorable. That's Rupa Goswami. This should be the ultimate criterion in decision making. Again, it's so easy to say, yes, Krishna is in the center, but This is how we show whether Krishna is really in the center. How do I make my decisions? You know? Yes. Do not be unduly absorbed in household and material matters. Yet, do not be neglectful of your household and bona fide material duties. These must be performed with care, sensitivity, and responsibility. So again, it's a balance. You know, if we are overly concerned and anxious and only the duties, you know, that's no good. But then also if we are neglected, the temple is everything, don't worry about the family, it's all material, you know, that's the other extreme. So we need the balance. And how do we get the balance? Yes, good. Counselor, curator, nastavnik. Bring up your children in Krishna consciousness, never considering it to be a burden. This is one of the most important services for grihastha. Adjust other services according to the requirements of this service. For example, during pregnancy or when the child is very young, you may not be able to do many other services, but do not mind that. This service is also very pleasing to Krishna. When the time and opportunity are right, however, you may do those other services. Of course, the basic services of hearing and chanting must not be neglected at any time. And it is important to come to the temple for your own spiritual nourishment as well as for that of the child. So we'll talk about the children next week. But yeah, good to mention it here already, you know, that bringing up children is not Maya, it's not... I mean, I remember years ago at Bhagavatam class, you know, this is 40 years ago, the question was, is taking care of the children, is that service? And then the question was, the answer was, you know, there was some hesitation, what is the answer? Well, if you do something else also, then it is service. But no, it is one of the most important services to bring up the children in Krishna consciousness. Yes, so much immaturity there. The children are burdened and they had a headache and how do you say? Obstacle. Yeah, yes. No, it's the opposite. It puts a whole different dimension on your family life. We'll talk about that next week. Yes. Practice, preserve and teach the principles of traditional and devotional family life, faithfulness and lifelong commitment in marriage, a culture of respect for all, including elders, sharing, caring, serving, cooking at home, and so on. In this regard, understand well the pitfalls of accepting modern-day social norms and practices, like unrestricted mingling of men and women, eating out in kami restaurants, living together before marriage, and so on. By the way, this is all His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Swami speaking here. By the way, he's one of my board members of my little Institute for Spiritual Culture. Yeah, so, I mean, of course, if we had the time, there's so much more to elaborate on. Again, I'm saying in the book, please get it if you haven't got it yet. There's so much stuff in it, all practical with so many guidelines and you know, yes. Yeah, so, but that's a whole big thing, you know, that we have to understand the pitfalls of modern day social norms and practices. You know, we have to have the courage to be different. We mentioned it in previous seminars. Yeah. Yes, we have to have the courage to be different than everybody else. to swim against the stream of, modern life attitudes and Otherwise, how can we cultivate the opposite worldview, which Vaishnava life is? Preach the message of Krishna consciousness whenever you get the opportunity. Follow the advice that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to Kurma Brahmana. Jaya Gota Krishna Upadesh. Speak the message of Lord Krishna to whoever you meet. In this way, cultivate the missionary spirit. Preaching is not the exclusive preserve of brahmacharis and sannyasis. Grihasthas must also actively participate in it, according to their situation. In a nutshell, I always say we have to cultivate Sankirtan consciousness. It's a certain consciousness. If we have Sankirtan consciousness, then even a trip to the supermarket becomes a whole preaching adventure. We have some invitation cards, some little leaflets, some little book. Oh, where is the soul who I can give something? And if that eagerness is there, Krishna will arrange it. Yes. Or the trip to the doctor, you take some Mahaprasadam along. I never go to any doctor without taking Mahaprasadam. Yes. So, then all our activities in daily life become a preaching adventure. Yes. So it's a question of consciousness. The main, in this seminar we only have time to touch upon these things. The main way as a grihastha to preach is by having house programs. Because it's our duty anyway, we discuss this tomorrow, to invite people and feed them in our home. That's the main and foremost duty of a grihastha. So why not combine it? Have a little kirtan, House programs are the tools to cultivate a community. Yes, house programs. Temple programs are always formal and public and official. Whereas in house programs, that's where we connect. Here even Mayapur. If sometimes people say, oh, I'm lonely, well, invite people to you, have some house program, then you will not be lonely. There's so many devotees here. Invite people, feed them. And if you can't preach yourself, invite a preacher. So that's the main and foremost way of preaching. Sometimes I come across the devotees saying, oh, yeah, we are getting married, but we don't want children, we want to preach. You know what my answer is? Hey, that's the next ashram, Vanapasta ashram. But because the Vanapasta ashram is not properly established, that's why we take the elements of Vanapasta into the grihastha ashram. No, grihastha life means a younger man and woman live together, there will be sex life, there will be children. That's how we purify our sex desire, by bringing up the children. We'll discuss it next week. So there's no question to get married under the condition of not having children. It doesn't even make sense. What are you going to do with your sex desire? How are you going to purify that? It's the next ashram. First, we have to go through this whole internal purifying journey of family life, bringing up children. So much purification is there. Externally, it may look like, these grihasthas, what are they doing? Just having babies and earning money. It may look like that, but no, the purification is internally so deep and strong. And we can see so many people don't want to do that internal work and accept that purification, and they rather split, they get divorced. That just shows how difficult it is to actually go with this journey of purification. Because you cannot keep a marriage together if you're not willing to introspect and reflect and work on yourself. Yes. And that's where the whole purification lies. So, and then, after having gone through this whole journey for 25, 30 years, then we really are purified to preach, But a young couple full of material desires, how much potency and purity is in their words, Not that much. We first have to go through the whole purifying journey, Which doesn't mean we don't preach it all as a grihastha. No, we do. We let Prabhupada preach. We welcome the preachers in our home, and we serve them, and Okay, well, we kind of made it in really fast speed. Yes. Are there any questions about always keep a good balance between material needs and spiritual needs? Well, I would like to go now through this list. Our Tamar Govinda Prabhu, he is not here today. He had to go with his kid to the hospital. So somebody else should go there. Maybe can you move the thing more to the front? So let us see. Let us remember what are the secrets. First one, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vaishnava Association, mentorship, right? Mentorship and simple living and keeping a good balance. So 5 secrets. Let's have a look. Going off the track. Shravanam Kirtanam, association, mentorship, right? Will give the solutions, right? Yes? Yes, okay. Arguments. Mentorship, Vaishnava Association, Shravanam Kirtanam. When people get caught up in arguing, it's always a lack of Krishna consciousness. What else? Right? Yes. Okay, crossed it off. Lack of recreation, no time out. Well, Shravanam Kirtanam, association with devotees, mentorship, solves the problem. Simple living also. If we have simple life, we will have time to take our time out and have some recreation. Solved. Next one. Parental differences. That we have differences of opinion. So, Shravanam Kirtanam, association with devotees, mentorship, these 3 solve the problem, right? Especially mentorship. You will see mentorship is always one of the main sources for solutions for any problem, is mentorship. And Shravanam Kirtanam too, because if you have strong sadhana, you have a more spiritual outlook on things in life. Yes. So then, lack of cooperation, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vaishnava Association, mentorship, right? Yes. Solves the problem. Huh? Yes? Okay. Lack of appreciation. Again, Shravanam Kirtanam, association of devotees, mentorship. Lack of appreciation, simple living, also appreciating what we have and not being greedy for too much. And financial problems of all sorts, that's, well, simple living, also mentorship, if we take guidance before we take the big loan and all that, yes. And Shravanam Kirtanam, if we have a higher taste, if we have a spiritual outlook on things, then there will be no problem, no misspending, no debts and all these kind of things, So, balancing material and spiritual needs,
баланс духовного
Shravana Kirtana, mentorship, and also devotee association, not only having a mentor, but having regular association, friendships, that helps us getting the right balance of things. Lack of self-control. Shravana Kirtana, Vaishnava association, mentorship, self-control. Well, also simple living, also if we want too extravagant and that also feeds lusty desires and. So then difficulties in following principles. Well, next week we will discuss also very briefly what it means to follow the fourth principle of Douglas and Sixer. It's the whole topic. But yeah, mentorship, Shravanam, Kirtanam, it's all a question of higher taste, right? Then we can give up the lower taste. If we have good association, yes, solves the problem. Getting into Maya, bad association, so Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, mentorship, solves the problem, right? Yes. Lack of spiritual nourishment, association, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, mentorship, right? Yeah. Lack of commitment towards each other, well, mentorship. Also general Vaishnava association, if we are in a nice community with nice friendships and Shravanam, Kirtanam, then we have a more spiritual outlook on life.
For this one, we can say simple living. Because of job, we are moving away from spiritual association.
Yeah, also true. Yeah, simple living, we shouldn't forget that. It's almost also there in most of them. Then isolation, meaning living far away and not being connected with devotees. Well, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, mentorship, asking for guidance before we buy a big house, 200 kilometers away from the next temple. Attitude for no children. So, Shastra, Shravanam, Kirtanam, devotee association, mentorship, solves the issues. Yes, mentorship is always one of the solutions. Number one, of course, we have to have a qualified mentor. Fanaticism. Again, mentorship, Vaishnava association, Shravanam, Kirtanam. Yes. Actually, this fanaticism is also connected with false ego. The false ego can take any good idea and become fanatic about it, and I'm the special one who realizes, and we become fanatic. Bad communication. So, mentorship, also Shravana, Kirtan and Vaishnava association. Or maybe also simple living. If we're so caught up in our job and our career and we don't even have time to talk to each other. Lack of support, meaning nuclear family. So if the family of the devotees, the ISKCON families are a real family, there will be support. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, mentorship. So then there will be support. If we live in a community close to the temple, so the mothers will support each other with cooking, with kids, there's that, nuclear family, this lack of support is only if we live far away from the temple, we are not connected, we are not an active part of a community. Lack of satisfaction. Mick Jagger, I can't get.
You can take guidance like what is the satisfaction.
Yes, also Shravanam, Kirtanam, we have to get a higher taste and mentorship, Vaishnava association, Yes, solves the problem. Differences in taste. Huh? Mentorship, learn to respect each other's differences and work something out. Shravana Kirtanam. You know, if we have a higher taste, then the differences in the lower tastes are not so important. Right? Yes. Competitiveness, pride. So, also Shravanam Kirtanam, you know, if we actually deeply chant and hear, hopefully we will drop all this envy and competitiveness and pride. And Vaishnava association, if we have good association, if we have a mentor, counselor, again offers a solution. You know? Lack of respect. So what's lack of respect? Tamaguna. So, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, mentorship. Right? Yes, yes. Over familiarity. Same like disrespect, you know. Yeah. So then, no plan to get out. And the Vanapasasha. So, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, mentorship solves the problem, right? Yes? Yes. Okay, good. Now, lack of knowledge, no guidance. Well, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, if we live far away or more, of course we will not have guidance, of course we will not have a mentor there, and you know. Okay. Dealing with relatives. Mentorship, also Shravanam Kirtanam, if you actually hear and read these things, you know, then we will know how to deal with the relatives, you know, and yeah, and Vaishnava association. That becomes our real family, and then we will know how to deal with them in an aloof way. Sex life. So Shravanam Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, mentorship. We'll park that topic for Friday. Not enough income, simple living, and also Shravanam Kirtanam, maybe the income is enough, but our demands and expectations are higher, you know. We want more than necessary to keep body and soul together. So Shravanam Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, good association, you know, and mentorship, solve the problem, and simple living, you know. And no emotional care, shelter. Vaishnava association, mentorship, maybe the husband needs a bit of guidance, how to give that emotional care and shelter, you know. And Shravanam Kirtanam, you know. Yeah. So, isn't it amazing? All the issues, all the challenges we can solve with these 4 or 5 principles, which are Shravanam Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, mentorship, simple living, and half, they are the main ones, and the half here, the balance and all that. But that comes through these 4. These 4 are the main ones. So I want you to go out of here today and dream tonight. Shravanam Kirtanam, Vaishnava association, mentorship, simple living. The secrets of success of family life as an ashram. Yeah, it's actually quite simple. You know, but we have to really invite these things into our life, you know. Yes. Yes. All right, quickly turn to your neighbor, share. What did this session give you? What conclusions are you walking out of today's session?